Welcome to Kevin's Food for Thought. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us reach as many people as possible. And now here is your host, Kevin Moore.
Daniel 9:3. And I set my face unto the Lord God, to seek by prayer and supplications, with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto the Lord my God, and made my confession, and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to keep them that to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned, and we have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, for which spake in the name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. Now Daniel 9:21. Yea, whiles I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the hour of the evening oblation. And he informed me and talked with me and said, O Daniel, I am now come forth to give thee skill and understanding. At the beginning of thy supplications, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved. Wow. What a great thing to hear from God. Therefore, understand the matter and consider the vision. So, Daniel's fasting. He doesn't take any bread, and he doesn't take any meat. He's only eating like vegetables. So he must have been I must be a little bit like Daniel. Meat and carbs. Don't really care for vegetables, or that many of them. So he was fasting and praying. Let's go to Psalm 69:9. This is David. For the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up, and the reproaches of them that reproached thee are fallen upon me. When I wept and chastened my body, chastened my soul with fasting, that was my reproach. I made sackcloth also my garment, and I became a proverb to them. They that sit in the gate speak against me. And I was the song of drunkards. But as for me, my prayer is unto thee, O Lord. In an acceptable time, O God, in the multitude of thy mercy, hear me. In the truth of thy salvation, deliver me out of mire, and let me not sink. Let me be delivered from them that hate me, and out of the deep waters. I can really relate to that. Matthew 4:2. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of God, command these stones to be made bread. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. You're probably guessing what this podcast is about, judging by these scriptures. Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic and sore vexed. For oft times he falls into the fire, and oft into the water. And I brought him to the disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him. And the child was cured from that very hour. Then the disciples came to to Jesus apart and said, Why could we not cast him out? And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit, this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. Matthew 6:16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, and then that they may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head, and wash thy face, that thou may appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. So he says, moreover, when ye fast. So it's expected. Fasting is part of it. Now, it's not a part of, don't get confused, it's not a part of works. But Jesus is expecting his disciples to fast. David fasted. Daniel fasted. And in the case of Daniel fasting, man, when Daniel started fasting, he had a vision of Gabriel coming. That's pretty incredible. So your physical action of fasting has another side of it, spiritual. We know that from Daniel. We know that from a few places around the Bible. I think it's important to fast and pray, and I don't know. People don't talk about fasting anymore. They do, but they talk about, the health benefits of this, and it helps the aging process and all this stuff. That's great. That's great. Go ahead, fast for health benefits or whatever. I think God built that in. I think it's a perk of fasting. He knew that he wanted people to fast. He wanted you to bring your flesh under submission. But when you're fasting and you're in prayer and you're focusing on God and you're, doing what you should be doing, there's spiritual things that happen when you're doing that. We just heard that from Daniel. It's just astonishing to me that when Daniel started fasting, as soon as he started fasting, boom, the order came through. The commandment came through. God's like, go, Gabriel, go tell him. Go tell him this. Gabriel's the messenger. He's going to get it done. But Daniel, most of my life I didn't spend a lot of time in Daniel until I got older, because there was a lot of things that I didn't understand. It's just I lacked the mature mind. I just wasn't a man, and I didn't get a lot of it. But Daniel's interesting. A lot of amazing things happen, and Jesus references Daniel. And how do we know that Daniel was a prophet? because Jesus in Matthew tells us Daniel the prophet. But the interesting thing is that Gabriel got caught up battling. In the spiritual realm, when he got the commandment, boom, he's off. He's going to go tell Daniel. He's on a mission. Boom, I got a mission. Yes! He's probably thinking, yes, I get to do something. I'm doing my job. He's probably, no hesitation whatsoever. Just boom, he's going to go handle it. And Gabriel meets resistance. He starts getting battled. And Daniel continues on his fast. And what happens? Michael comes down. You don't want to mess with Michael. Michael is a warrior. And he came down. And he battled. And Gabriel got to Daniel. So from day 1 to 21 days, that's how long it took. The hardest part of fasting is the first week. The second week is a little bit easier, but if you can get past the first 2 weeks, it becomes easier. It becomes a little bit of a habit. It's not going to be without temptation. Of course not. There always is. Your whole house, you go on a fast, your whole house will start. I'm going to have, what are you guys having for dinner? Oh, I'm making crab legs. I'm making a ribeye steak with some sauteed portobello mushrooms on top. And we're going to have twice baked potatoes or whatever. Because I remember the first time that I ever fasted, it was like day 2 or 3. I wake up and my mom is in the kitchen cooking. And I'm like, oh, God, please help me. That smell, I don't know what that is, but it smells fantastic. And the house hasn't smelled like that in a few days. Excuse me. It hasn't smelled like that in a few days. And it never fails, though. Something will happen. Somebody will be like, hey, you want to go to dinner? I'll buy. No, thank you. But I appreciate the offer. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody when you're on your fast. Do it. It's expected. It's expected of us. He says, moreover, when ye fast. So he didn't say, if you fast, or, if you feel like it. It says, when ye fast. To fast is to bring your flesh, your body into submission. Your brain, your heart is telling your flesh, I'm in control. You're not in control. It's a war. You're warring with yourself. And when you're warring with yourself in the spiritual realm, there is things happening. There's things happening. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, every time you fast, you're going to have Gabriel come and talk to you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you don't know what's going to happen. Jacob wrestled with Jesus. You don't know what's going to happen when you're on a fast. But if you're seeking a breakthrough, if you're seeking a little bit tighter relationship with God, if your loved one is not saved, or, like in Matthew, the first part of Matthew that we just read, 4:6 or whatever, where there's a little boy he's bound, we don't know. Is it Down syndrome? Is it something like that? I don't know. I have a suspicion, yes. I've been around a couple of people on the spectrum, and it tears me up. Test it. If you know anybody that is on the spectrum and they're not functioning, they don't look people in the eyes, they don't talk, they make a lot of weird noises and stuff like that, pray when you're next to them. See what happens. I did recently, couple months ago. There's a child within the big family, and not my personal family, but anyway, there's a child with, he's special. And the last time I saw him at a basketball game, I was sitting down and he sat down. He was kind of quiet. And I just started praying. And he went, and just immediately, boom, looked at me. And I'm like, God, that's a spirit, isn't it? It's not, that's not cause from anything else. That's being bound. And then I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And what's weird about is that child doesn't look people in the eye. And that kid whipped around immediately and looked me in the eye. And I'm like, okay, I know who you are. But I'm sitting here and I'm trying to watch the basketball game. And all I can think about is this kid that nobody's fasting for. This little boy that nobody's fasting for. That nobody's praying for. I'm not telling you how long to fast. It could be a week. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 40 days. One of the hardest was try to get to 40 days when I was 17. That was very hard. I lost a lot of weight. I don't even know how many. I lost track. I think my brain was so starved of calories that I lost track of how many days I did actually gone. My suggestion would be put a little check mark on the calendar and try not to look ahead too far. That'd be my suggestion. Keep track of it. Because, if Daniel would have ended on day 20, Gabriel never would have put his hand on his shoulder. That's crazy to think about. But just watching that kid and seeing his mom hold him, and every time I would just kept spacing it out. Every time I would begin to pray in my head, that kid sensed it and immediately looked at me and would just kind of have this very aggressive look on his face. And it's hard. I think about him a lot. And I'm just thinking, there's nobody out there. His parents don't believe. His parents aren't believers. They don't read the Bible. His grandparents don't. You're the only person. And I maybe see this kid twice a year just on family events or whatever. And it just breaks my heart because God says he's the same today, yesterday, and forever. So if he delivered that kid in Matthew, I believe that kid could be delivered today. I do. But if you've been thinking about fasting for a while, maybe that's God drawing you to fast. But don't tell anybody. Keep it a secret. It's hard. It's hard, especially when you're living with somebody, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and they care about you. They want you to eat or whatever. People text you and call you. Hey, what are you having for dinner? That's, you got a bunch of people in your life that's constantly asking you what you're eating and how you're doing. Then maybe that's, the enemy trying to make sure that you're not fasting. He doesn't want you to fast, obviously, because you just go ahead, start one whenever, sometime in 2025. It could be today, tomorrow, whatever. Start one. See how it goes. If you're getting resistance, it's probably a good thing, because the enemy is not going to waste their time and energy on something that's worthless. They're not going to falsely attack you. This isn't a video game. if you feel that tug to fast, if you feel that tug to go on a fast for somebody in your life, or yourself, or a spouse, or your great uncle Bob, I don't care. If you feel the draw to fast, do it. Go on a fast, pray, wake up early in the morning and hit prayer hard. Like God doesn't care about if you're elegant with your words or not. He cares about your heart. He cares about what's right here. Some of the times my most simplest prayers, but I felt it in my heart, felt the most powerful. Not the ones that, I randomly sounded like Paul. But dig into the word. Do a little bit of research. I'm not going to tell you, get a doctor's note. Make sure that you're perfectly healthy before you go on a fast. Some people can't handle it, and some people can't. Is it prudent for us to be smart? Of course, but I also think that if you're doing it, I never had any fear about fasting because I knew that God's not going to let me die on a fast. The enemy might want to kill me on a fast, but God's not going to let me die on a fast. And if he wants me to end it in day 12, he'll tell me. He'll tell me. Maybe do that. Maybe wait and say, you tell me when you want me to end it, and I'll end it. If you want me to keep going, I'll keep going. Give me the strength. But we are called to fast. When ye fast. That's a requirement. It's not a suggestion. Study fasting in the Bible. Daniel's interesting. Go to Daniel. And when was Jesus tempted? By Satan. Right there in a fast. So that shows you how important it is. Satan didn't want anybody to do it. Not even Jesus. He didn't even want Jesus to go on a fast. She's not going to want anybody else to go on a fast either. But man, in this day and age, in 2025, with all this stuff going around the world, I think we should be fasting. I think we should be fasting a couple times a year. There's not going to do any harm. It's just going to get you closer to God, get you your breakthrough, get you through your burden that you're carrying. Tell the flesh who's boss. Jesus is the boss over my body. I'm telling you to submit to my mind and my heart and to my God. Later.
Thank you for watching, and Godspeed.